Hey guys, Taylor with GammaEdge here, coming back to you with another education piece. Today we're going to be talking about SPX 0DT. And keep in mind, when I'm saying 0DT, think of that as any intraday trading. So whether you're trading futures or you're executing through 0DT SPX options, trading stock, it doesn't matter. Just anything where you're operating on an intraday time frame, this is going to be applicable to you. And so, if you want to go read this article I'm going to walk through today, you can go to GammaEdge.us, go to our blog. It's up there for you. And just something right off the bat. Yes, this is specific to 0DT options. By that meaning, the options themselves aren't inherently more risky than any other trading vehicle. They just amplify the consequences of trading without a clear structural framework. Because those contracts can lose value or appreciate in value very quickly on an intraday basis. So ask yourself a couple of questions. Have you ever jumped into an intraday trade based off gut feel or a chart pattern only to watch it rapidly move against you? Do you struggle with timing your entries and exits? Have you found yourself chasing price rather than anticipating it? And are you unsure how to tell the difference between choppy and trending days? And so if you nodded yes to any of those questions, don't worry, you're not alone. We've all been there. And the key in our opinion to mastering SPX 0DT, mastering any intraday vehicle is just understanding the structural forces that drive the intraday price action. And since one of our key pillars we focus on in GammaEdge is SPX, we know the growth of SPX. We'll get to that in a second, but that does have a material impact and is what is oftentimes driving the intraday price action that we see. And so as you could have guessed by us making this video, we have developed, a suite of proprietary tools that help us look under the hood to more effectively dissect SPX 0DTE and, apply that to our trading to become better intraday traders. And this suite of tools is predicated on understanding the real-time positioning of the options speculators in the options markets and how that creates, key levels that oftentimes create predictable price behaviors. So a quick background on SPX 0DT if you're not familiar with it. 0DT, that simply just stands for 0 days to expiration. These are contracts that open and close on the same day. And there's a couple of reasons why they've grown in popularity, which this is what this chart down here shows, is based off SPX volume. 56% of that is made up of the 0DT volume. The reason for that is it expires on the same day. So you're going to get that short-term gratification if you pick correctly. You're going to get rapid price appreciation, but also you can lose very quickly as well. That premium can get sucked out. Second reason is, these are just cheaper options generally, because you don't have that long, time component as opposed to, if you're trading a weekly or a monthly. And then they also provide you with a lot of flexibility too as part of your trading strategy. If you're responding to some kind of breaking news, economic data release, some kind of breakout or whatever that you're looking at, it can allow you for a way to quickly get exposure. And obviously it's very liquid. Challenges, comes with extreme gamma risk. That's what I just talked about, how you can make or lose money very quickly, rapid time decay. So if nothing happens, you're gonna be losing money. A couple other things on SPX 0DT, superior liquidity, tight bid-ask spreads. There's a ton of volume, ton of open interest in that contract on an everyday basis. Cash settlement. So unlike, SPY as an example, that settles to the underlying, this simply settles the stock. So if you're going to get assigned, you don't need to exercise or do anything because, it's just going to be a cash impact to you. There's tax efficiency, 60-40 rule. Obviously, we're not experts in this, so get with your accountant, your CPA on all that good stuff. And then, multiple expirations per week. So every day has an SPX 0DT expiration. And so getting into GammaEdge specifically, how do we help you with SPX 0DT? Well, there are a couple different ways that we do that. So the first tool we look at, this is our intraday volume analysis. What we're doing here is we're looking at SPX 0DT specifically. We're looking at the volume of the call volume and the put volume throughout the session. The reason that we do that is it tells us a few different things. A, what the character of price action is, that is either trending or choppy, what those key kind of upside and downside levels are. And then C, kind of helps us project out where the potential path of price could go through the close of the current cash session. And so getting into the specific example of that, so you can see that, keep in mind, everything in this article are hyperlinked. So we have dedicated articles to these various tools. So obviously I'm not going to cover all of that here. That's why we have these deep dives that you guys can go learn more about. But just hitting on that real quick, this is what one of the volume command charts looks like. So this is from the 7th, from July 25th, 2025. This is at 125. So we have call volume at the top here, put volume down here. What we do is we identify centroids on a 5-minute basis. We understand what the distribution of that volume is, find the middle point, which is the centroid, and we plot that. Again, plotting that throughout the session helps us understand A, what the character price action is, and B, where those projected centroids could move. And price follows centroids, or price follows where transactions are transacting, right? So it's very valuable information to understand kind of where the top side, downside levels are and what the general trend for the day is. That can be very informative, whether you're trading, directional futures as an example, or you're wanting to sell premium below and above where price is likely not to go. So very powerful tool. Second tool we leverage every day is something that we call the Netstack Command. Netstack Command is based off 3D surface models that we have. We understand that 3D surface models can be very hard to read and interpret, so we've simplified it for you to just create a simple table to show you where those key sensitivity points in the structures are based off the 4 main Greeks, those being delta, gamma, vana, and charm. And so right here's an example of what that Netstat chart looks like. We have delta, charm, gamma, and vana. We have those key strikes where those key sensitivity points, where those flipping points could happen. And again, I understand in this video there's not a ton more context with this, but I would encourage you to go read the dedicated article we have. And then not only that, but again, as I said, this is a key tool that we leverage intraday. We talk about it in our SPX game plan every day, where those key levels to start the session are at. So again, it's a very cohesive framework that we've created. It's no one tool. It's a combination of the tools of how we paint a mosaic for what the day is to hold for us. And then once the bell opens, transactions are transacting, and then this is our way of keeping up with what's happening and how that either confirms or updates our view from the pre-market. Next, we have our transition zone analysis. This is really predicated from our SPX dashboard, which is what I have up here. This is from our pre-market game plan we post every day for the community. We identify where those key transition zones are at, to where when we're in between those transition zone, we expect very choppy price action. Once we're able to break through those transition zones, then we are, able to expect to see upside or downside continuation, depending obviously on which way we see that break of the transition zone. Just as a quick example for you, this is from the 25th of July. Top of the transition zone here was the white box here. We can see that we held the transition zone and then just progressed higher throughout the session. We see this time and time again. Obviously, this is just one example if you're not familiar with GammaEdge that you're seeing, but I would encourage you, to come into the community, see our write-up every day, plot those transition zones, free 2-week trial. So just do it for 2 weeks. If you don't see any benefit of it, then no risk to you, right? So yeah, that is the power of the transition zones. And then last but not least, we look at our market trend model. This is similar to our intraday volume analysis, how that is focused on, options volume. This is focused on the tick index and the transactions that are transacting throughout the session in real time, right? The tick index includes both, stock transactions and options transactions. So another very good proxy for kind of intraday momentum. Specifically, we are looking at our cumulative tick, which is the intraday tick. And we also have something called the filter tick, which is like the cumulative tick, but it measures only significant transactions is what gets this line to move. So we can see from Friday the 25th, we had significant buying throughout the session all day. And again, just to bring that home, broke through the top of the transition zone. We expect to see, an acceleration higher from there, and then confluence with our market trend model, which is progressing higher as well. So very good kind of 1-2 punch right there to help you catch that long and hold it throughout the session. So those are the 4 key tools that we leverage on a day-to-day basis. Again, just a note for the futures traders here to write everything we just talked about. Yes, while we're leveraging the SPX options market, you can still execute through your futures. Like that's what I personally do. I just look at the SPX chart, or I get those levels for the SPX. I translate that into what the futures contract is, and then I go from there. So the premise that we don't have specific futures data, therefore you cannot trade this is false. So and then what a day in the life of a GammaEdge GRDT trader looks like. Look at the pre-market analysis. Like I said, we perform a very deep dive for you most mornings. This is a great way to kind of get adapted in what specifically we do. Next, what you want to do is once the bell rings, we want to understand and monitor the intraday activity. So again, that's using our volume commands, using the market trend model, looking at Netstat, all that good stuff, just to making sure our key levels we identified in the pre-market are still the relevant ones to be paying attention to, and then B, just understanding kind of what the trend of speculation for the day is. Right, and then community engagement, right? That's also a very important one. Trading can be a very lonely endeavor. So, to have a ton of community members that are very active on an intraday basis, a lot of intraday 0DT traders, both, selling futures, putting butterfly, not selling futures, selling options, putting butterfly trades on, executing through futures. So, it is a great collaborative place if that is something that you are looking for. Right, and just lastly on the community, like this is a place where, all different experience levels and skill levels we have in the community. So, if you have 5 minutes to dedicate or if it's your full-time job, right? We've developed a process and tool so anyone can benefit from this. And so with that's really what I got for you guys today. Goal of this video was just kind of high level go through, the what 0DT options are, why they're important, and then how we kind of leverage that through a suite of tools to take advantage of that to help us with our intraday trading. So with that, I appreciate your time and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.